Okay, limits and convergence of sequences. This is the next part of 9.1. It's actually just the second page of the section. The definition of a limit of a sequence, it should look familiar. It's kind of like finding the definition of a limit in Calc 1. L is just a big number. This is when you take the limit as n goes to infinity of your terms in your sequence. If you actually get a value, then the limit is said to converge, or the sequence converges to that value L. Now, the rest of the language here looks familiar. The limit equals L if for every epsilon greater than 0, remember epsilon is a small difference, there exists a number m. M will be the counter that you have to go out past in your sequence, so that you're far enough out in the sequence such that the difference in the next term and the next term and the next term from what you think your limit is tiny. Does that make sense? If you keep plugging in the next n and the next n and the next n, and the terms in your sequence are getting closer and closer and closer to some number L, then that is your limit, and your sequence converges to that value. New page. So, for instance, if you have a sequence that looks like this, 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 4, and continues infinitely that way, then your a sub n is simply 1 over n plus 1 if n is 1, 2, dot, dot, dot. Okay? Now the limit as n goes to infinity of your guy here equals 0. That is your limit of your sequence, and the sequence converges to 0. Now, in your homework, you're going to see a lot of sequences that are fractions like these here. Sometimes you have to look at the tops, the sequence that's in the top and the sequence that's in the bottom. If they ask you to take a given sequence and write it in this form, you got to figure out what's going on from here to here to here, like that, all the way through. That's a really fun exercise. It's kind of like doing a puzzle or playing a game, but you know I'm weird and I like weird things like that. So we're going to keep that right here and continue on with the rest of this. You see in this last example that you can almost write your a sub n as not almost, you can. A sub n can be written as a function of n. It's just that n isn't a continuous variable. It's a positive integer. So that's why we can take limits of them. Also, just like limits of functions, limits of sequences have certain properties as well. If you add the limits, the limit of a sum is going to be the sum of the limits. The limit of the difference is going to be the difference of the limits. The properties of limits, most of them are natural for us. So I'm just going to have you look at those in the book. It's on page 590, and it's theorem 9.2, and there's a long list of the properties about products and quotients and sums and differences, scalar multiplication, things like that. But this is all stuff that I'm sure you would do naturally anyway. when you're looking at a particular sequence, sometimes in the lower numbers, the values will pop around, get bigger, get smaller, get bigger, get smaller, and then way out toward the end of the sequence, you'll see that they start to behave nicely and they start to converge. So when we talked about that m, for the definition of the limit of the sequence, you had that capital M. That's just some counter that you keep going until you hit that particular value, and then your sequence starts to behave. The book is notorious for saying this is the way it always is, forever and always, amen. And then it'll put a footnote and say, well, if it starts to behave that way, once you get past a certain point, then it will behave that way. And even if in the lower values of A sub n, things are erratic or not monotonic. All right, speaking of monotonic, mono means one, so monotonic means that your terms are either increasing only or decreasing only. So it would be monoponic increasing or decreasing. That just means that all the values are either getting higher or they're getting lower. Of course, that's what it means. It makes sense, right? So for a sequence to converge, it has to be monotonic and the limit has to exist. Now, I just said that monotonic increasing means the terms are always increasing. The book will say non-decreasing because it could be increasing or staying the same. In other words, it doesn't increase here and decrease there. Same thing for monotonic decreasing. Now, if a sequence is monotonic, sorry, I'm still learning. If a sequence is monotonic and it's also bounded, bounded means that there is an absolute highest value and an absolute lowest value. So bounded above means that it never gets bigger than a certain value. There's a real number m. This is a different m. I'm just going to say there is an upper limit. If it's bounded below, there's a lower limit. May not be the best way to say it, but that's the way, you know what I mean, right? So if a sequence is bounded and monotonic, then bounded, in other words, it's got a top or a bottom. If it's bounded above and monotonic increasing, think about what that means. You're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but you're bounded above. So even though you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you're never going to get bigger than that upper bound. So it converges to whatever that upper bound is. If it's bounded below and monotonic decreasing, think about what that means. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and never ever stopping, just keeps getting smaller, but it's bounded below, then sorry, I forgot what I was doing. Bounded below, and it's always and always and always decreasing, then it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but there's a boundary on it. So it's going to converge to those bounds. The concept of converging is really important because once we turn the page and we get to 9.2, we're not going to be talking about sequences anymore. We're going to be talking about something called series. Series is where you take the terms in a sequence and you're adding them together forever and ever and ever. So that's pretty cool. Just saying. So how do you know if a sequence converges or diverges? Well, let's play around with a couple. Let's say that I've got a sub n is -1 to the nth. Does that converge or diverge? Well, if you put -1 to the nth power and n is going to infinity, does that go to a certain value? No, you're just popping back and forth, +1, -1, +1, -1. It never settles down and it never converges. It's not monotonic, increasing or decreasing. It's just popping around all over the place. We've already talked about this guy. If you take the limit as n goes to infinity for this thing, you're going to get 0. Therefore, it converges and it converges to 0. All right? Now, a sub n, try n plus 1 over n minus 2. When you take the limit as n goes to infinity of this one, what's going to happen? Well, if n is infinity, the 1 and the 2 are negligible, correct? If these guys are teeny tiny, you can ignore them. You're only looking at n divided by n, which is 1, no matter what n goes to, it's 1. So it converges, and it converges to the value of 1. A sub n, what if it's n over n squared, something, something, something? Take the limit. You see the power of n is bigger on the bottom than it is on the top. So that plus 1 is negligible. And if you're looking at n over n squared, that behaves like 1 over n. If this goes to infinity, then you're going to go to 0. So that limit equals 0 because you've got infinity infinities on the bottom and only infinity on the top. So this thing converges to 0. Now, these are sequences. We find convergence just by taking the limit. In the case of a series, which we're going to do next, convergence is a little harder. You would think that if you're adding up a bunch of numbers like 1/2 plus 1/3 plus 1/4 plus 1/5, that if you added them up, because eventually, way out there in the end, eventually you're getting to 0. So you're just adding 0, 0, 0, or pretty close to it. You would think that that would converge, but it does not. Just because the sequence converges doesn't mean the series with the same a sub n will converge. So you got to watch it, and we'll talk more about that. Even this guy right here, once you start adding the terms in that sequence, even though the bottom, it's not going to converge. So we have to be very careful when we get there that we start thinking about things a little bit differently, and we keep our terminology separate. This is a sequence, not a series. Now I want to show you one really cool sequence and its limit. It's just really stinking cool. The limit as n goes to infinity of 1 plus 1 over n to the nth power equals da 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 e. That is the most awesome thing ever. So if you have a sequence where a sub n is, I'm sorry, I'm copying my notes and I just realized my notation is wrong in my notes. If you have a sub n equals this thing, then this thing is going to converge to E. Cool beans, I know. If you want to see the proof of this, you look in section 5.6, example 5, and they talk about it there as the limit as x goes to infinity of 1 plus 1 over x to the x power equals E. Cool stuff. Check it out. Okay, I'm going to sling this right up here. Keep it on the screen. Okay, a couple other things that you need to remember from before, from Calc 1. Special limits, it might show up in the homework. Limit as x goes to 0 of sine x over x equals 1. That's going to pop up in sequence form, so keep that in mind as you're going through the homework. And you are ready to finish the homework for this section.